You have a very literary fiction style.
Thank you. That's what I shoot for.
That's what you shoot for?
The son of a high school English teacher.
Let me ask you a question. Are you writing in the wrong genre?
I view myself as a novelist first and a mystery writer second. What I try to bring to my mystery books is a sense of what makes any story great. And that's, I pay attention to all of the powerful narrative elements that would make any book a compelling read. And I'm talking here about the quality of the language, an understanding of the power of language. I'm talking about a profound sense of place, solid characterization, universal themes, atmosphere, tone, point of view, all of those things that make any great novel great, I try to bring to my own work. I'm not saying my novels are great, but I certainly take great pains to do the best job in the actual writing of the story that I possibly can. In fact, to be really honest with you, and this is maybe a little bit of heresy when you're talking about mysteries, plot is the least important aspect of the novel for me. I spend more time thinking about it than I do any other element of the book, but it interests me least. What interests me is how to make the story memorable, how to make the story affecting, how to make the story powerful.
What interested you in Hemingway in the first place? Which aspect of his writing?
Do you know what? The first book I read by him was For Whom the Bell Tolls, or was it For Whom the Bells Toll? And I'd never read Hemingway up to that. Even my English teacher father hadn't introduced me to Hemingway at that point. And I was just, at 18, blown away by the themes of manhood that Hemingway was obsessed with. Because at 18 years old, they were exactly the things I was thinking. What is it to be a man? What is it to suffer? What is it to be alone? What is it to have loyalties and make decisions about what you stand by and what ultimately you have to let go of? And Hemingway was just fascinating to me in that regard. I've gone back since and reread many of the works that I was so enamored of in my early years, and I don't find them compelling anymore, with one exception. I think The Old Man and the Sea is one of the best novels in the English language. Hemingway did everything right in that book. You know, he gave up all of the posturing that he had done as a young man. And he's writing as an old man, about life as an old man. And I think he put into it everything he understood about living at that point. And I think he just washed himself clean with that book.
Do you think you've got your own fish? And I mean, have you written your masterpiece yet?
Oh, I hope not. I hope my great work is still out in front of me.
The great existential anguish in Hemingway was mostly depicted through his absence of language. Where do you position yourself with your characters?
Do you know, when I began writing this series, which was a very long time ago now, I began writing the first of the Cork O'Connor novels in 1992. We are now 2012, so that was, let's say, 20 years ago. And I was really shooting for a Hemingway-esque approach. And so I didn't give the reader a lot of insight into internally what my character was feeling. I tried very much to show what he was feeling by his actions, which is a very Hemingway-esque approach. As I've grown older, I think I've mellowed a bit and realized that actually exploring the internal state of a human being can be probably more satisfying, both as a writer and as a reader, than simply implying. It's a much more complicated affair, and that's the challenge that I set for myself always, is let's do something a little more complicated and complex each time.
Talk to me about The Great Empty, because I think it's a fantastic concept.
Yeah, The Great Empty. I used The Great Empty in Northwest Angle to characterize the loss that the O'Connor family feels as a result of the death of Cork O'Connor's beloved wife, Jo. And this is the trauma that in the book Cork is trying to help his family heal from. And And I was looking for a very easy way to convey what they were feeling. And the great empty just seemed to say it all. So when you read the book, you'll see that it's always capped, great empty. And you know, what else do you need to say? That's a very Hemingway-esque thing. 2 words, the great empty, and you say it all.
So what's next for you?
I finished a book called Trickster's Point, which is the 12th in the Cork O'Connor series, and I'm really excited about it. Trickster. I write a great deal about the Ojibwe culture, and in the Ojibwe culture, and in fact in many native cultures, the trickster is a mythic figure.
You mean the jester?
Exactly. The trickster is that figure which on one hand makes fun of humans, and on the other is very helpful to them. So I deal a lot with Nanabuju, the trickster spirit in Ojibwe mythology in this novel. I love writing mysteries. I love writing the Cork O'Connor series. I love the challenge that... The thing about mysteries is simply this. Mystery readers these days are very demanding.
How so?
What they expect of a mystery author is to give them everything that what we call a literary author would give them. That is, we have to create complex characters involved in complicated, believable relationships. We have to use powerful language. We have to create a profound sense of place. We have to write dialogue that sings. And in addition to all of this, we have to create a puzzle that's intricate enough to keep intelligent people guessing across the entire course of the work, and at the end, and here's the kicker, has to come together in a way that's emotionally satisfying and entirely logical. What a great challenge to set for yourself. The thing about the mystery novel is that it does have a structure to it. When I stepped outside that to work with Ordinary Grace, or I thought I was stepping outside it to work with Ordinary Grace, I realized that I brought a sense of that structure to that work that made it so much easier for me to write.
But wasn't it a challenge? Did you try to get rid of it? To step out of it?
It was the most amazing period of writing I've ever experienced. I felt not at all like I was struggling in the least. It so flowed, the words, the events, the themes, the tension, all of the great stuff that make a story just fell into my lap, it felt like.
So you sound proud of it.
I am so pleased with this piece of writing.